Hello. Yes, it's chewing the fat time again. It's been a while since I've done one of these. One of the reasons why I'm doing a chewing the fat this month is because it's going to be a bit of a lean month for buying bots because I'm trying to save money up for auto assembly, and also it might be a bit lean for videos. So I decided to try and pad things out a bit, and I thought, well, what can I do? And I thought, I haven't done a chewing the fat in a while, so I thought I'd do a chewing the fat. But in order to do a chewing the fat, I've got to have some subjects that are worth talking about, and it just so happens I've got a little list here of things I've jotted down that might be worth a go, so let's have at it. So in today's issue of Chewing the Fat, subjects we will be covering: Combiner Wars, in the stores, rollout roll call, should I go, and second time's a charm for random robot review roulette. So let's get started, getting on to the first subject: Combiner Wars. Now obviously Combiner Wars hit our stores back in December, just before Christmas, when we got Wave 1, pretty much before everybody else, and there was a lot of excitement. People getting hold of new toys. They were loving the quality, liking the new toys. A lot of hoo-ha surrounding it. Then, beginning of this year, Wave 2 came out, but we didn't get them. Nope, we didn't get them. The only figures from Wave 2 that we got was the leader class Megatrons. These guys. Now, Wave 3's not long been released, and obviously the toys are coming out in America and the Far East, and they are now starting to filter through to UK stores, because just the other day I picked up this Combiner Wars Hotspot, and as you can see, I got in from Smith's Toys in Bury for £22.99. I should also note that where I got this guy from, they also had Combiner Wars Cyclonus reduced to £16.99. £16.99 for a Combiner Wars Voyager, brand spanking new. What's that all about? Anyway, they only had the Voyagers, they didn't have the Deluxes or the Legion figures. And I'm thinking, well, why? Why have we not got the Legions or the Deluxes? Anyway, watching some of my subscription videos the other day, and watched Wolfgang 1's collection update number 28, where he showed off his latest acquisitions. And when he got to the bots at the end of the video, he managed to pick up from his local Toys R Us the 4 Limbots for Defence Saw. And as he flashed them in front of the camera, I noticed that the boxes didn't come with the comics. Now, the other characters that have been released in Japan and the US come packaged with comics, but these figures do not. Now, the Wave 1 figures that we got, they didn't come with comics either, right? And also, if you remember back to last year when we had the old Thrilling 30s line, and they released the deluxe figures for that line, in America and Japan, they came bundled with comics, but in UK stores, they didn't. We didn't get them with comics. Why is this? Now, I put a comment on Wolfgang's video, basically pointing out the fact that the Combiner Wars Deluxes he had didn't come with comics. And then I said, I asked the question why. Why is this? Why do we in Europe don't get the comics? But I've been having to think about this, and I think I've inadvertently answered my own question. Europe. Now, the reason being, and I can demonstrate it with this box, when you look on the back, you've got multilingual support. You've got a little bit of a write-up for the character, but it's been in 4 different languages. Now, obviously, Europe's classed as a continent, even though England, UK is not directly attached to it, apart from the Channel Tunnel. It's quite a diverse continent. You've got all these different countries. You've got France, Germany, Belgium, Spain, Italy, and then you've got Scandinavia as well. You've got all these countries, all with different cultures, all speaking different languages. So if you sell a product in Europe, it's got to have multilingual support. And these figures, these deluxe figures, when they come bundled with comics, the comics are printed in either English or Japanese. They don't come with multilingual support because it would be too difficult to print the comics with multilingual support or do separate comics print runs for each of the individual countries in their different languages. So I think that is the reason why the Combiner Wars and, well, the Generations Deluxe figures that we get here in the UK don't come bundled with comics. That is the reason why, because it's too much hassle because of the language barrier. Because Hasbro UK doesn't just buy in, toys for the UK, they also distribute toys for the rest of Europe. At least that is my understanding of it anyway. And to cover all the different languages, it'd just be too much. They wouldn't do individual packaging for each country. They just have a generic package with multilingual support on it, and they don't come with comics. So we here in the UK, we lose out. We don't get the comics, even though we could quite easily have the American toys shipped over to us, sold in UK stores. They've got the comics, it's all in English, we can understand it. That's too easy. So yeah, I basically answered my own question. That's why we in the UK don't get the comics. You can get the comics, but it means you have to buy the figures from an online store like Kapow, Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, and you do have to pay a slight premium to buy the figures from there. You have to pay a couple of quid more plus the postage. So a figure, deluxe figure, like Combiner Wars drag strip, which retails for about, 15, 16 quid in UK stores, will cost you from an online retailer probably about 17, 18 quid, and then you'll probably have to pay a couple of quid postage on top of that. So you're talking the fat end of 20 quid to buy a figure which should rightly cost 15 quid. But you will get the comic with it. But is that really a worthy, thing? Is it worth paying the extra to buy it from an online store just so you can get the comic with it? Are you buying that figure just for the comic? I don't think so somehow. It's a little bit of a disappointment that, we don't get the comics here in the UK. But now that I've looked into it, I can see the reason why. So yeah, that's basically my first subject on this chewing the fat. Little gripe, why are we losing out on the comics on these Combiner Wars things? I mean, that's probably the reason why we didn't get Combiner Wars Wave 2, because quite simply they didn't have time, or they couldn't be bothered to do the European packaging for them. And another thing, why didn't we for Wave 2 get the Voyagers and the Legion figures? Because they don't come with comics, so it'd be just as easy just to throw them out. I mean, they'd still have to have multilingual support on the packet, but that's just a case of just printing a different back on the card. But we didn't get those either. So, I don't know. It's a weird one. But I think the main reason why we didn't get Wave 2 is because of that. That's just a theory anyway. So yeah, first subject over and done with. Now let's move on to the next one. And yeah, rollout roll call. Now, just lately I've been giving this a lot of thought. I'm thinking about going to rollout roll call this year. I went to it last year. and I'm in two minds whether to go this year, and there are a number of reasons why. But to understand these reasons, you need to go back to last year. Now, last year, I went to Rollout Roll Call off the back of Auto Assembly. I went to Auto Assembly for the first time. I only went on the Saturday. Obviously, bought a load of stuff. It's my first experience at a Transformers convention. Met a few people, had a bit of a chat, decided, you know, I quite like this. I'd like to do some more of it, and wasn't prepared to wait 12 months for the next Auto Assembly. So I was looking, well, where can I get my next Transformers convention fix? And lo and behold, in early October, Rollout Roll Call. So I bought a ticket for it, and then I ran into my first problem. The ticketing for it is a bit weird. I did ask all the cool stuff about this, and they explained their reasons why, and I can understand their reasons why, but it's still a bit unfair, I think. It's a 2-day event, and if you attend on the Saturday, you have to buy a full event ticket to cover both days. But if you go on the Sunday, you can buy a Sunday only ticket, which is reduced price. But if you just wanted to attend on the Saturday, you have to pay full price for the event. Now, their reason was that if you buy a full event ticket, you then qualify to buy the limited edition, you know, convention exclusive figures that were being offered at the events, and I think it gave you access to some of the panels and a few other things. But I personally, at the time, didn't really want to go down to the convention for that. I didn't want to buy these limited edition figures. I just wanted to go down there and just buy any old figures that took my fancy. So I wanted to go down on the Saturday, but in the end I bought a Sunday only ticket just so as I could save some money. Anyway, got down there on the Sunday, and to be honest, I didn't know quite what I was going to expect from Rollout Roll Call. Having been to Auto Assembly is, well, it's quite frankly the biggest, you know, Transformer convention in Europe. It's huge, and that was my experience and expectations of what a Transformer convention should be. So I looked online at Rollout Roll Call, and there's a few pictures and there's a bit of a blurb about what it is, and it's in this place called the Jury's Inn in Southampton, and I thought that it was in a pub because, you know, Jury's Inn, the name Inn, you know, you think it's a pub, so oh okay, so it's in a pub, so it's going to be small because it's in a pub. Anyway, get down to Southampton and find the Jury's Inn, and it's this massive great hotel in the middle of this huge traffic island in Southampton. So anyway, I get to the place, go into the lobby, and then find that the event is on, I think it was the 5th floor or 6th floor or something like that of this this high-rise hotel. Anyway, went up the lift, got to the floor, and come out, and then you're in sort of like the lobby area next to the lift. They have the table there for the organisers where you go up and you get your pass, and they sign you in, and then you have free run of the event. But when I started to look around, I was absolutely astounded and surprised at how small the event was. It was tiny. It's a corridor. You've got the lobby where what it is, and you've got a corridor that goes in two directions. On to your left, it went to a sort of like a fork in the corridor. Then it went into one sort of meeting room where they had all the G.I. Joe stuff, and then it went into another room which was where the panels were being held. Then if you turn right, there was a short corridor with about 3 doors on each side leading into rooms. In 4 of those rooms were where the traders, the dealers were, and they were quite small rooms. They were particularly large rooms, so there's probably be about 1 or maybe anything from 1 to sort of 3 traders in each of the rooms. And then at the far end of the corridor there was another bigger, wider, more open room where they had the large display of the Masters of the Universe stuff, and they had the tables laid out round the edge of the room where all the visiting guests were signing stuff and doing artwork. And yeah, and I just couldn't believe how small the place was. But then again, I don't know what I was expecting when I got there. So I just went through the event and bought a load of stuff and met a few people. Saw Ben from Ben's Collectibles, had a little chat with him because he had a little table, he was selling some stuff. And saw Dave SMS number 1 Smizno very briefly for the second time. I saw him at Auto Assembly a couple of weeks previous, and even that was like a very quick introduction. And this time it was about just after midday. He was just walking through, doing the last scan around the tables, and he took me by surprise. He came up behind me while I was doing something and got my attention. I showed him what I bought, and then he was gone. So yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I went to Rollout Roll Call was I wanted to meet more, Transformer YouTube reviewers. But as it happened, I only saw, Ben and Dave. I didn't really see anybody else. I did talk to a few other people, but I was a bit disappointed. I was expecting to see a few more. So yeah, on the whole, I was quite disappointed by Rollout Roll Call. I was disappointed on the size of it, and I was disappointed on the fact that it wasn't that busy and there wasn't that many known YouTube reviewers there. So anyway, that was that. That was my experience of Rollout Roll Call last year. But getting back to this year, I have the opportunity to go to it again. And at the moment, this month being quite a lean month, I'm saving money ready for Auto Assembly. And I'm doing the whole hog. I'm doing all 3 days. I'm booked in to do all 3 days at the Hilton Hotel. Yeah, I'm going to do the whole 9 yards. So I'm going to have plenty of time to sort of chill out and socialise with all the other guys, and yeah, and buy lots of toys and partake in a lot more of the events throughout Auto Assembly. Some more of the panels, all the evening entertainment that they had on the Saturday night, cosplay contests and all that stuff. So yeah, I'm going to be doing all that. Now, I'm taking a horrendous amount of money to Auto Assembly, and as Rollout Roll Call is only about less than 2 months after Auto Assembly, I'm doubtful whether I'll be able to get together enough money to take to Rollout Roll Call. The other thing is, now the ticketing pricing of Rollout Roll Call is the same, only the price has gone up. Last year it was 35 quid for the event, this year it's £40 for the event, so it's gone up a little bit. And I'm thinking of going down for both days, which means staying in the Jury's Inn hotel. And I've made inquiries as to booking a room at the Jury's Inn, and they don't seem to have any single rooms left for that particular weekend. They're probably all taken up. So I'd have to book a double room, which start at like 65 quid and upwards. So if you take into account £40 for the event ticket and £60 for the plus for the room, it's going to cost me over 100 quid just to go to the event. And as I said before, in terms of size, I mean, Rollout Roll Call is very small, but at least this year I know what Rollout Roll Call is all about. I've been to it before, so I know what to expect this time, so I hopefully won't be as disappointed with it as I was last year. And obviously if I'm there for both days, it'll give me more time to sort of hang out. Hopefully, Dave Mentz will make more of a showing of himself this time round, because I know he lives reasonably locally, and he helps out all the cool stuff, which is the geek shop that organises Rollout Roll Call. He helps them out, so he should be around a bit more. And I've also heard rumours that 2 other prominent YouTubers will be going down. Bisto Yeti, Richard Delafield, and Dave Transformers Junk Heap, Dave Shotton. Now I've heard rumours that they are going down and will be attending both days of Rollout Roll Call this year. Now that's interesting because they are 2 of my best, subscribers that I have. They watch my videos, they comment on my videos readily. I've met Richard, he's a great guy, absolutely fantastic, and I would really like to meet Dave Shotton, because he's one of the YouTubers I'd really like to meet. Not sure whether Dave Shotton's going to be doing Auto Assembly this year, because I think like last year it's going to clash with that Bloodstock or whatever it was called that he went to last year, that heavy metal event. I don't know whether he's going to that again this year. But anyway, If those guys are going down, then that's a very good reason for me to go down and spend the weekend at Rollout Roll Call. But here comes the rub. Rollout Roll Call will be quite expensive for me to go to. Also, because I personally think, in terms of value for money, Rollout Roll Call doesn't offer that great a value for money when compared to Auto Assembly. I mean, the thing is, Auto Assembly is a 3-day event and it costs £60 for your event ticket. So you could say each day is £20 per day. Rollout Roll Call, 2-day event, full event price, £40. So that is a £20 a day. But what you actually get for your £20 a day event is, it's like, that's Rollout Roll Call and this is Auto Assembly. You get so much more bang for your buck at Auto Assembly than you do at Rollout Roll Call. I mean, I'm not dissing Rollout Roll Call here. I'm not really being unfair. I mean, you can't really compare the two because they're two totally different scales of event, but they are priced the same. I understand that, you know, all the cool stuff has to, you know, have quite a high price because it costs them a lot of money to put this event on, you know, to rent the hotel suite and pay for the guests to come in and all that. Obviously it's very expensive business, so they need to, you know, and it's not such a big event as Auto Assembly. They only get probably maybe a couple of hundred people go to Rollout Roll Call when it's like nigh on 1,000 that goes to Auto Assembly. So they have to weigh things up. But yeah, I do have that sort of question in the back of my mind about value for money on Rollout Roll Call. But if this year you got Bisto and you know, Junkie Dave going down, that could be a very good reason to go. And if I get, you know, extended, you know, hang time with those guys, it would be a great, it would make the event worthwhile for me. So yeah, that's the question that I've got. Rollout Roll Call. Should I stay home or should I go? That's basically what I'm asking you. I'm still very 50-50 as to whether to go or not. I haven't booked my ticket yet. I'd have to book the hotel suite, and the closer I get to the event, the less likely I am to get, you know, a cheap hotel room. So I probably won't book it until after Auto Assembly, which is what I did last year. But at the moment, yeah, it's still very much up in the air, and I'm not really sure whether I'm going to go or not. I need persuading one way or the other. Anyway, so that's subject number 2. Subject number 3. Remember a few months ago, I did that random robot review roulette, a new thing I was going to trial, where I basically showed you a list of my Transformers numbers, and using a random number generator on my phone, I picked 10 numbers at random, matched them up with the bots on the list and said, right, here's a list of 10 bots, pick one, you know, vote on one for me to review. So you voted in the comments, and then I did a review, which in this case was Cybertron Mudflap. So he won by the narrowest of margins, but I did a review on him. Now, as this month is going to be a bit of a lean month for videos, I want to flesh it out a little bit with some other videos, and another way I can do it, apart from doing Chewing the Fat video, of course, is to do another random robot review roulette. So I'm considering doing another one. Again, I'm looking for feedback. You know, was the last one any good? I am thinking of changing out the format a little bit, you know, sort of tightening it up, making it a bit shorter, especially the selection process for the robots on the first video. I'm gonna try and make it a lot quicker, snappier thing. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing. So if you've got any comments on that, go back and look at my last random robot review roulette video and see if you think if it's worth another shot, worth me trying it again. So that's pretty much all I want to talk about. There is possibly going to be a review I'm going to do later this month. I've ordered another Hello Carbot, Carbot Sky, the Hyundai Velastar. She's on the way. She should be arriving hopefully in the next week or so. So hopefully I will be again more Eastern Exotica. When I get that, I will be reviewing that, which, like I said, hopefully will arrive in the next couple of weeks. So that's basically it for this video. No review today. I hope you've listened to my words and maybe agree with some of my comments, or maybe I've upset some people again, because I have a very good upsetting people. I mean, obviously my words about roll call, I'm not trying to disrespect or slag it or anything. I'm just airing a few comments that I've had of certain things about it which I think aren't so great. But there we go. That's my chewing the fat for today, the 7th of July 2015. So I will see you again next time. Cheerio.